Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. But if you are one of the new people, my name is Carla and I make videos about how I show up for myself in hopes of inspiring you to do the same. This video is all about the difference that made the difference that led me to be able to lose 183 pounds, transform my mental health and basically change my entire life. This is part 2 in this series, so I'm going to leave a link up here if you guys would like to check out part 1, which is my story about self-compassion and how self-compassion is the thing that changed everything for me. How I used to go into a weight loss journey as a form of self-punishment and self-flagellation and was harsh on myself and was my own worst critic, and how I changed that around to become my own best friend. And in this video, what I'm going to be talking to you about is about how self-compassion can impact a weight loss journey. And hopefully it can give you some food for thought, maybe for your own journey, about different elements that might help to improve your self-compassion and how self-compassion can have an impact on weight loss. So I originally thought that this was going to be a 2-parter. It's most likely actually going to be a 4-parter because it seems to have been quite popular with you guys. And the next part will be tips specifically for how you can improve your own self-compassion and your relationship with yourself. And then the final in the series will be a Q&A. And I've already got some amazing questions. So please make sure you are subscribed, turn on the notifications so you never miss a video from me. And without further ado, let's get into it. The first way in which self-compassion can impact a weight loss journey is around the idea of perfectionism. If you've seen my 5 habits that I had to stop in order to lose weight, I'll leave it linked up here, but I talk a lot about perfectionism. And I realized that perfectionism was typically an excuse. It was a way for me to give up or to stop whatever I was doing if I wasn't able to do it perfectly. Self-compassion can help us to change that narrative and to change that within a weight loss journey, because it allows us to realize that we are not perfect beings. We can never be perfect beings. The idea of perfectionism does not exist. And self-compassion allows us to change the narrative for ourselves and to start to think, okay, I am not perfect, but I am human and I can continue on with this journey. Typically, what might have happened for me on a weight loss journey previously would have been that, I was very much so Monday to Friday, I was on point, I was on the wagon, I was going for it. And then come Friday night, I would find myself like grasping at straws, trying not to order a takeaway, and inevitably I would give in and I would consider that being fallen off the wagon. I'd have the takeaway and then I would, throw the baby out with the bathwater, and I would not pick up my weight loss journey the next morning or after having Chinese or something like that. That idea is that if I'm not perfect, there's no point in doing that. But none of us can be perfect. It is impossible for us to be perfect. And this idea that if we don't do everything to 100%, that's a completely unrealistic expectation on ourselves. It's not possible for any of us to do things to 100%. The only thing that we can strive to is to do the best that we can. And if we try to get to that stage where we're doing the best that we can, and sometimes things happen, and sometimes there'll be slip-ups, that's why there is no wagon. There are peaks and troughs. If you've seen part 1, you know that I don't believe in that idea of perfectionism. And I realized that by being more self-compassionate to myself, what I'm doing is I'm understanding who I am. I am a human being and I have a personality and I have flaws and I have different things that go on inside me, and say, okay, so I was not, 100% or did not do the best that I could. Let's use this as an opportunity to learn. So can you hear the different tone that I'm taking here? I'm using this as an opportunity to learn about myself. What was it that I was seeking when I was looking for Chinese? Was it that it was Friday night and I felt I deserved it? Was it Friday night that I was tired, that I was had a really stressful week? Was it that, I had a fight with somebody? What was it? What was happening inside me that meant that I needed that coping mechanism, as opposed to, this is how we start to we inquisitively and kindly inquire into ourselves what's happening and use these things, use slip-ups or, a peak or trough in our path as a learning opportunity, but not from the tone of shame, not saying you're an idiot, I can't believe you did this, you failed again, what is wrong with you? It's like, okay, that wasn't the best that we could have done, that I could have done today. I didn't do what I know that I could have done. So by letting go of perfectionism, what we're doing is we're starting to understand who we are and starting to embrace our imperfections as humans and not let that need for perfectionism be an excuse to not continue, but also use it as a learning opportunity. The second way in which self-compassion can impact your weight loss journey is by enhancing your motivation through self-care. The biggest change for me in my weight loss journey, the successful weight loss journey, was seeing weight loss as a tool of self-care. I actually had even a rebirth of this or a reminder of this the other day. I went to, if you've ever seen any of my vlogs, I go to Sprite Salad a lot. And I eat a big bowl, I'll insert a thing here, I eat a big bowl of really beautiful vegetables and like some pickled things, and some things are fermented, and there's some tofu and there's some seeds in there. And as I was eating it, I was going, my gosh, what I'm doing here is the best possible thing that I can do for my body right now. I am nourishing my body and I'm feeding my body. This is the ultimate act of self-care. Whereas I used to see my body as the enemy, as something that was against me, fighting against me. So becoming more self-compassionate allows you to see nourishment, food, as and eating as a form of self-care. But we're not eating junk. It's learning to eat things that are closer to the ground. And of course we're going to eat some junk along the way because, let's face it, we all like some sweets and some crap and some fries once in a while. But eating that food that I just came over me the other day, and I was like, my gosh, this is the ultimate act of self-care. Because right now my body is hungry and I'm giving it what it needs. I'm giving it nutrients because my body has done so much for me. And what happens is you start to become motivated by the act of showing up for your body. If you know, showing up for yourself is the motto that I live by. This is another way of showing up for yourself, is by feeding it and by moving it in the best way that you can for yourself. So by embracing self-care, you actually end up becoming more motivated by different reasons. So your motivation comes from a kinder, more compassionate space than maybe it would have in the past. As I said, all of my previous weight loss attempts had come from a place of punishment and hatred and shame and guilt and just awful feelings. Whereas this time it's like, okay, we're friends now. My body and I were friends. I'm not exactly happy with it being 23 stone. That's okay. I know I can do something about it. And what I'm going to do about it is I'm going to nourish it and move it and not punish it. Do the best that I can for my body and bring it on side with me. The third way that self-compassion can impact your weight loss journey is by becoming more resilient. Self-compassion, self-care really starts to change your resilience and starts to come at things in a more compassionate way. Obviously, by using and coming from a place of self-compassion, you're much more likely to bounce back from any setbacks. And believe me, guys, there are going to be setbacks on weight loss. We all expect weight loss to go straight down, and what's really going to happen is it's going to go this way and then this way, and then it's going to go over here, and then it's going to go back this way. Along your weight loss journey, you're going to experience plateaus. Let's say, for example, what happens is with typically what we might do is start to shame ourselves and say, okay, like what happened with this? Like you're such, like, I can't believe it. You didn't lose any weight. What's going on? It's like, okay, now this is going to bring resilience. Like, okay, that's okay. I'm not going to punish myself for the fact that the scales didn't decide or my body didn't decide to drop a pound this week. That's okay. It might drop a pound next week. It might drop a pound tomorrow. But right now it didn't. So therefore I'm going to go, okay, that's all right. That's okay. You're speaking to yourself as you are to your friend. If you are at your weigh-in weight loss group or whatever it might be that you do, or, say for example, I'm sure most people are watching this have been to some kind of weight loss group in the past, and the person that you go with stands on the scale and they didn't lose anything and they step off, you're not going to go, what's wrong with you? Why did you, what's wrong with you? How did you not? What did you fail? You failed. Instead, you're going to go, oh, that sucks. Like, I know you put in a lot of effort, hopefully next week it'll play ball for you. That's the way we need to speak to ourselves. So it allows us to build more resilience. It also helps with perspective, because I find when we're being more self-compassionate to ourselves, we are acting more as an adult. We are acting more as almost like a mother or a big sister to ourselves. We are typically dealing with, when we have that kind of outburst, something like an emotional outburst, it's really our inner child is, having a bit of a SHIT fit. And what we need to do is to be able to bring them on side. So we are the adult and we have perspective. So we can be able to soothe the young child within us. So being compassionate to ourselves, this is all like relationship dynamics within ourselves. So you are being compassionate towards your younger self, and you're allowing, when you are being self-compassionate, you are allowing yourself, the adult you, to take over and go, okay, this didn't go the way we wanted it to. This didn't go the way we wanted to. That's okay. Next week is a new week. I mentioned this a little bit earlier in one of my other posts and one of my other points, but what happens with self-compassion is we start to cultivate body acceptance. We start to understand the amazing things that our body does for us and start to take our body on side as opposed to acting out against it. So say, for example, you start to understand and appreciate what your body can do for you. That also leads then, back into my points of the ultimate act of self-care, taking care of yourself. But by appreciating your body and accepting it for what it is and what it does for you, it can make the journey a lot easier, because you start to come from a place of gratitude. You start to come from a positive place rather than something negative. There are parts of my body that I do not adore, that are not the way that I want them to be, but I appreciate what my body has done for me and what it continues to do for me. It has lost over half my body weight. It has carried me at 23 stone around this world. It was previously able to leg press 175 kg when I was 23 stone. I certainly can't do that now. But it has been amazing and remarkable. It is this vessel for us to be in the world, and we need to start to bring it on side and to appreciate it and care for it and love it. And it does make it a lot easier when we are more accepting of ourselves and accepting that this is the way things are now, and then we can start to change them. The final way that I wanted to share with you today about how self-compassion can have a real impact on your weight loss journey is through emotional eating or binge eating. And typically emotional eating, binge eating disorder, obsessive compulsive overeating, any of these kind of situations are associated with trying to change our mood. They are trying to alter our current state. So say you are not feeling, like you have that negative self-talk. And we are using food, the most readily available drug, as a method to escape. That is kind of the foundations of binge eating disorder, or it is a coping mechanism to deal with the feelings that we are going on inside us and hoping that they're going to alter our state. However, that is not conducive, obviously, to a weight loss journey, because if we're eating excessively, we are in a calorie surplus and therefore cannot lose weight. So being more self-compassionate to ourselves helps us to change that inner dialogue that's going on inside us, helps us to become better friends with ourselves and to reduce the negative talk and not necessarily increase the positive. It's not always happening, but at least harbor a relationship of understanding and compassion towards yourself. And when that happens, we're less likely to have that increased negative self-talk, and therefore less likely to need to cope with something. So that is typically a need to cope with a trigger that is coming from our mental state. It was, for me, my biggest realization was that that negative self-talk that was going on inside me wasn't me. So understanding that and understanding where that voice came from and being compassionate to myself and going, of course I have created this inner dialogue based on these things that have happened to me in the past. And now I can change that. I can stop that. I don't have to. I can rewrite my scripts. I can rewrite what I tell myself, and I can start to be more compassionate to myself and understand. Self-compassion for me is really about self-understanding and exploring the reasons that I think things, or that the lack of boundaries that I might have had in a situation, or understanding habits and where those habits came from. And sometimes we don't understand. Sometimes there's a behavior that I do that I'm like, I don't understand why I do that, but I know that I do that. And I'm going to work on it, and I'm going to continue on. And we're being kind to ourselves. As I said, we're being like our mother, or a mother figure. I know some people have very tumultuous relationships with their mothers, so maybe that doesn't work for you. We are being a mother figure, a big sister, a best friend, a really good aunt. I don't know why I'm saying female. These could be male as well. I just feel like, obviously because I'm female, but it could be anybody. Just picturing somebody being more compassionate and kinder to you is helping you. It's reducing that negative self-talk, and therefore reducing that need to use food as the method to escape. The method to escape the feelings that we're feeling in our body. Guys, that is the end of this video. Please stick with me for part 3. If you have made it to the end of the video, please leave me 3 hearts in the color of your choosing and let me know how you are liking this series so far. And please don't forget to put any questions that you guys have down in the comments down below, and I'll get to them in part 4 then. So stick with me. We'll be back with part 3, which will be tips to cultivate your own relationship with self-compassion. I will love you and leave you, and I will talk to you all soon. Thank you for watching, guys.